All right, now that we've got that first round done in that last video, we're going to jump ahead and pretend like we've got everything finalized. You've got the final approval on the logo and the colors, and now what I want to show you is how I would actually package this up and deliver it as a final logo for a client. So this is my details page that I usually create for every logo I do. I'll share this with you in this project file just so you have it. If you want to build off of it, you're totally welcome to do that. So here's what we have going on. We have the details of the colors, the hex values, some text that I give about what clear space is, and I'll cover that in just a moment here. And then, of course, the two versions of the logos. I usually export a single color version, and that's great for vinyl graphics or embroidery, things like that, where you need one color, maybe a screen t-shirt. And then the full color version that you could use on other things like websites or letterhead in the business card. So in this first part of the finalizing section here, we're going to talk about the color and how I package up the colors. So what I did is I created these little thumbnails over here, and all those are rectangles. If I get the letter M tool, hold down Shift, click and drag, I get a square. Hit the letter V to get my move tool, hold down the Alt key, click down to drag. And then once I get one, I just hit Command D to copy that a couple times. So that's how I get those rectangles. And then what I do is I sample the colors from the logo using the eyedropper tool. So now I've got my colors set up here. Now here's a few little tips and tricks. This is kind of the nitty-gritty details that'll separate you from everybody else. So what I do once I get the color value set up, if I click once over here and I look at my color window, if you don't see this, just go to Window and find your color window there. And you'll notice these values. And again, if you don't see this, make sure you've got Show Options right here. Click on that color bar and hit Show Options. But you'll notice my values are not round. They're odd, 79.63%, 33.47%. So what I usually do is I'll click once on that color, and I'll come back in here and I'll just round up. So in this case, it would be 80%. This I'd round down to 33%. This I'd round up to 3%. And that's an even 23% already. So now I want to update these values. Well, the problem is as soon as I click in here to try and change that value, my colors change and I can't remember what those values were. So what I do is I'll take a picture, or I'm sorry, I'll click on this and then I'll take a screenshot, Command Shift and the number 4 on a Mac. I'll click and drag just over this section. And then before I let go, I'll hold down the Control key, and then I let go of the mouse, holding down the Control key still. What that does is it takes a picture and copies it directly to my clipboard. Now I can click over here and hit Command V to paste, and now I can see this color window here. So I can quickly go through and change these values. So that was 80. This was 33. This is 3. And this is 23. So let's do that one more time. For this value, we'll click once on that blue, and we'll change that to 97. 41 down to 3, and 28 is good there. So Command Shift 4, click drag, hold down Control to copy it to my clipboard, and then we'll paste it over here. All right, so this guy, so we'll change this value to 97. You can see where I'm going with all this here. 41, 3, and 28. Now the next thing we need to do, this one is actually pretty simple. It's just 90. But you got 0, 0, 0, and 90 here. All right, now these names, where in the world did I get these names? Well, I use this cool little app called SIP, S-I-P, and it's a cool little screenshot thing where I can hit my shortcut here, which is Option, Control, and the letter P, and I can sample colors from anywhere on my desktop. It's just a little app I found, and I use it all the time. And whenever you select a color, it gives it a name up here. So this was C Buckthorn. So that's where I came up with these names for Vulcan, Bahama Blue, Matisse, and Curious Blue. I don't know. It's just fun. I just threw it in there. But that's how I got those names. You could also just name it light blue, medium blue, dark blue, and dark gray. Whatever you want. But I just give the colors a name. And then this hex value is what we're going to use for web development. So if you ever want to put colors into, say, a WordPress theme or a Squarespace theme where they want to know what the hex value is, to find those, we'll click once on this color square, and then we'll double click on it down here in that little fill, and then we can see our hex value right there. So I'll highlight that, Command C to copy. I'll come in here, Command V to paste, and then I'll do the same thing for these other colors as well. Command C to copy. And when you open it up, by default it's already selected, so I don't have to double click in there. I'll just click once, double click on that thumbnail, and then hit Command C right away because that's already selected. And then last one down here. There we go. Now we have our color set up. Then what I would do is grab whatever font I used as the base font, because remember we have these outlined, so when you share this with people, they won't know what font that is if you used a base font, or maybe you created it completely from scratch, which is excellent. That's great. So what I do though is when I did use a font, I'll put that font here, and then I'll make the character, I'll put the name of it and then make it what it is, so then you can tell what it is when we share that. And then the next thing I'll create here is clear space. So with our clear space, what that means is we want to give our logo room to breathe. So as you're starting to build brand guidelines, these are little things you want to address. So rather than just saying, hey, we want a 1/4 inch of space, because let's say your logo is huge, well, a 1/4 inch of space might not be enough. And as it scales down, that might be too much space. So we use a relative unit of measurement, typically just something from the logo. In this case, we use the letter M to just set off a boundary around our logo. And in the third video, we're going to talk about, in the second and third video, we're going to talk about our artboards and exporting, and that'll come into play as far as how we give it that space. So, all right, in the next video, we are going to create artboards, and we are going to learn how to get our folder structure set up so we can share these assets in a professional manner.